What might education look like in the future? What features are coming that we can't even imagine yet? In the 1990s, it would have been ridiculous to anticipate that someday we would all be learning on online courses and participating in Zoom calls with people around the world. Yet today, that's a reality. So in the short term, in the coming future, what things are going to evolve so that we can learn with even more opportunity? That's what we set out to answer in this series, where we chronicle the process of thinking about how to put our educational content on 4 of the leading platforms, building and developing new technologies that are going to change how we listen, how we learn, and how we collaborate. In this interview, we talk with Nate, who is a teacher in Australia. Nate noticed a lot of different needs in his own classroom that inspired him to think more deeply about the potential for using Web3 to help his students. And that then expanded out to a more global vision where he's changing accessibility and he's changing opportunity for people all around the world. So this is the first of 9 sessions in this series, and we suggest that you listen to them almost like a podcast because we're really thinking about how do we deliver this educational content where we demonstrate all of these different facets and features that are coming up so that others can learn. Whether you're interested in learning, whether you are an educator, or whether you're just simply interested in what the future might look like, this series will engage you. Let's get started. All right, welcome. Today, Nate and I are talking about Olympus Insights, which is a incredible forward-thinking and future-focused learning platform for people all over the world to be able to really take advantage of all of the emerging opportunities of, especially the Cardano blockchain, but Web3 overall. And I'm really excited to talk with you, Nate, because we've talked about a lot of things. And this specifically today, we're going to really get into the weeds of how we're going to put this DeFi course so that people can participate in it, and how we're going to take advantage of all the different offerings and really showcase what Ollie can do. So maybe before we get into it, you can go into a little bit of who you are and how you came to be doing this, because it is like a sort of a natural thing when someone gets to know you. It's a very natural thing, but it's a non-traditional thing also. And your story is just very inspiring. So maybe you can just tell people who might be newer to you and to Ollie who you are, a little bit of your background, and how Ollie came to be.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. Yeah, we've spoken so many times, it's almost seems a bit weird to do like an interview style session now. But it's very cool. I feel privileged to be a part of this. So my name's Nate, or Nathan Barkell is my real name. But most people in the Cardano community know me as Nate. I've been in the crypto space. My first little dabble was in 2018, but really got into it on a more deep level in 2021. And that's where I really dove into the Cardano scene, the NFT scene, started engaging with DeFi and getting a bigger understanding of all of that. Me personally, outside of the crypto space, I'm a school teacher. I've been teaching for 10 years in math, science, health, physical education. And the two worlds collided in 2021 as we were coming out of the pandemic and into the bull market. So through the pandemic period, we really had this sudden need and urge for online education and ways of engaging our students from afar with all the lockdowns, and trying to find platforms that catered to our needs from a curriculum standpoint, but also a student engagement standpoint was quite challenging. Different platforms were adopted more so than others in different parts of the world. The one that we used the most was a good platform, but it wasn't I didn't think it was flawless. I thought there was a lot that could be improved upon. It could be made more engaging, more student focused, and give the students opportunity to dive into some non-traditional education as well and hit some different areas that could be quite cool. At the same time, we're sort of coming into this bull run, and I had friends and family saying, "Oh, what's that crypto thing you've been talking about? How are your Bitcoins doing? What are all these monkey pictures that everyone's got, they're running around with? And how do I get one if I want one?" And I'd be scrambling, trying to find a YouTube video or whatever links it is that they needed, because I didn't want them just clicking through all sorts of randomness and getting themselves into trouble. And there was no real central hub that you could send someone to for everything they needed to know about crypto. So I had this developing idea in my head about an online education platform that was more engaging, more accessible, more fun, with an extra layer of student-centered learning. And then this other idea that was starting to conceptualize about a place, like a one-stop shop for everything you need to do, one-stop shop, everything you need to know when getting into crypto and getting into Cardano. And those two worlds were just like perfectly in alignment with like what I wanted to do. And I sort of started pitching this idea in Twitter Spaces, and I was telling, I was fortunate to be in Cardano with S20 and Stock Trade, who I'd met, like been talking in Spaces with for a few months at the time. And when I told Stock Trade and the guys about what I wanted to do, he really like connected and clicked with what I was trying to do. And he's like, let's chat offline. And we got talking and really teased out this full concept of Ollie, the crypto education platform, the one-stop shop for everything you need. And that's really the start of the journey. And this little idea I had about educating school students became an idea about educating school students, educating businesses, but also educating the whole world in an incredibly accessible way with zero barrier to entry. And that's sort of where we've got to today with the Ollie platform.
So what is your long-term vision? That's such a difficult question, because in the midst of building, your vision changes a lot. And so taking that into account, like there's certain core components that are really important, like philosophically, values wise, there's things that maintain importance. And then the industry itself emerges and new opportunities are available, new people come into your experience, like you mentioned with Stock Trade, who just, further things you've been thinking about. What are you like, what are some of the things that, if someone's newer to the idea of decentralized education and to being able to things like learn to earn and like badges, I'm looking at the screen that you have up, and like what are some of the things that you see becoming the evolution of learning for people who start to take part in this Ollie opportunity in the future?
One of the biggest things for me was accessibility. Mm-hmm. So even the education platform that we were using through the pandemic period, they were charging with like upwards of $6 per student per month. So if you look at a school setting, you've got around 1,000 students in your average school. That's $6,000 to $8,000 a month to be able to access that learning platform, which is very expensive, particularly when you spread that across a year. And then I was looking at other education platforms in the like Web 2 space, such as like Coursera or maybe Teachable, that people might be familiar with, and looking at the average course price up around $50 US. And alongside that, becoming a part of this Cardano community with an idea of banking the unbanked and giving opportunity to underserved people, I thought, well, these platforms that we're looking at in the Web 2 space are not accessible for everyone all around the world. In some countries, $50 US is your monthly income. You can't be blowing that just doing one lesson on an education platform. Right. So we wanted to take this concept that has like such a walled city of education, smash down the walls and just let everyone come in and be able to get high quality education with as little barrier to entry as possible. So we went about seeding the Ollie platform with I think we're up to about 135 courses, if I remember correctly, that are all like getting people into the crypto space about finance, money, marketing, business, and putting it into the hands of the student where they can figure out what is it that they want to learn about and dive into it, rather than giving them a set curriculum that doesn't align to their goals, doesn't align to their values, and forcing them to do it like we see in a traditional education system. And we could probably talk for hours about why current educational models are not necessarily the best for students, and why university type models are more about generating profits for shareholders than delivering a quality education. But that's not really what we're talking about today. I want to focus on what we're doing, which was putting the power into the hands of the student and decentralizing the decentralizing the learning by having many content creators be able to come onto the platform and share their knowledge, share their information. So then the students can come on in and learn from many masters, which has always been a principle that I've sort of followed. It's like, you can't just go to one person and follow them like religiously, because it often turns out that that person is flawed in some way, and you end up getting all of their flaws. Whereas if you take little bits from as many different masters as you can, you become well-rounded in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And that's sort of what we've gone to here. I think there was more to your question, but I've sort of got a little bit lost on that one.
No, I think that's spot on. And the accessibility piece is one side of that. And then the other side of that is you have this incentives model where people can actually learn to earn. And I would imagine that for some people, that really is a motivator. Everyone, I'm sure you see as a teacher, everyone has different motivations and things that drive them. Even a parent that has multiple kids will understand that your kids have different motivations and things that drive them, and that continues well throughout your life. But how are you seeing, and this is the last question, then we'll get into the tools. Like, I'm really interested in how you're seeing you have lots and lots of users on the site now. Maybe you can talk a little bit about numbers. But you have lots of users. How are you seeing people utilize this? How does Learn to Earn work, and how are you seeing people utilize that as a value for participation?
Yeah, so Learn to Earn, this, I guess the spark for this was in a classroom. I can't remember, I think it was maths on the day. And I had a student say to me, "Sir, I'd care so much more about this algebra lesson if you're paying me to be here." Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? There probably should be some sort of model where that's possible. And I know that's not necessarily possible in an everyday classroom. But hey, let's see what we could do to try and make it possible. And that's where and I said about coming up with this Learn to Earn model that could be achieved in a way that is not only a sustainable ecosystem, but an ecosystem that can grow and continue to reward content creators, students, and people that are referring their friends for the extent of as long as we can, really, and keep adding more and more value to that mechanism. So what we did is set about building this gamified approach, where whenever you complete a lesson as a student, you'll earn 200 experience points. Your experience points start to accumulate, and as you earn more points, you can earn badges. And as you earn more points, when the token goes live, you'll be able to convert XP into Oli tokens, which will be tradable on Cardano dexes, and ultimately you can get paid for your learning experience. That also applies for content creators. So if you make a lesson on the Oli platform, you earn 12,000 experience points, which goes by that same process, can be converted into Oli and tradable on a DEX. And then we've got the refer to earn for anyone bringing their friends in, can earn 100 XP, as you see on the screen there. And yeah, you can just start on your learning and earning journey. We know money isn't the only motivator for people that are on our platform. Ultimately, education is the reason that they come. But what keeps them coming back is the gamification. And on top of that is the certification. So we're in the process of organizing the blockchain certified records for the lessons that people are achieving. This is one of the things I think will tease out a little bit more about what we're doing together. But ultimately, once we get this done, which is aimed for the end of Q2, every time you complete a lesson, you'll be able to get a blockchain certificate saying that you've completed that. And then you'll be able to string a series of certificates together to achieve a module, and a series of modules to complete a course and get recognition for that. So on our timeline or our roadmap is to get registered as a training organization so we can deliver recognized certificates around the world. We're not ready to do that yet. These are all things to come. But we're going to make sure that the learning has a financial, an intrinsic and extrinsic reward mechanism that can hit people for all sorts of different angles. If you just like earning badges, if you want to get paid, if you want to get certification and create job opportunities for yourself right around the world. Well, you mentioned about the numbers. So just looking at my other screen, I can see we're up to 36,000 users. So we ticked over that today, which is awesome. We're chugging along towards that 50K, which I'm very excited to hit. It's just, I think it's a cool number. It means that if we got all of our users together, we could fill up the local football stadium, up the stadium with 50,000 people. And the courses that have been attempted so far is up over 150,000. I think we're getting nearly up to 160,000 courses that have been attempted by those students. Not all of them completed yet. They're underway. There's been a large portion completed, over 130,000, which is really cool. So yeah, it's very exciting to see. Not only are we getting great amounts of adoption, but we're getting not only people that are coming to check it out, but people that are actually staying and learning. And then obviously when we turn the learn to earn mechanism on, that's going to unlock the Cardano wallet that is created for every user in the background. So every person that is actually onboarded to Ollie is onboarded to the Cardano blockchain. So they can learn, change their experience points into Ollie tokens, send them from their Ollie-based platform wallet to their own wallet that we train them to set up. Shout out Tokyo and the Vesper and all of those guys. And then they can start interacting with DEXs. And yeah, some very cool opportunities there. So, no.
One of the things for me that's really exciting about this collaboration is the ability to really demonstrate and showcase a lot of these things, because it does take, I mean, anyone, you mentioned like, you know, when the bull market happens, suddenly everyone's extremely interested, even though you've been like trying to tell them for 3 years in the bear market, like all of a sudden everyone wants to know. And it's there's a learning curve, of course, to like become familiar with what a wallet is and how a wallet operates. And that's not just a vault for your assets, but it's also a key to participating in certain things. And a lot of those fundamentals here are things that people can experience within this environment, which is, and credentialing also, like you're mentioning certificates, people can progress and be rewarded for that progression. And I think that generally, you know, that sort of balances the apprehension that comes with becoming involved in something that is brand new, regardless of you're taking a new class in school, or you're starting a new job, or you're starting to engage yourself in something like blockchain, which is new for all of us. So I'm hoping that with this course for us, like, you know, decentralized finance is a very natural and organic thing. It is how we operated with each other for the majority of the existence of humanity. These are very natural elements, and just due to the, you know, how we sort of, you know, structured and organized things as both culturally and globally, a lot of these fundamental sort of practice of sovereign practices became, you know, intertwined with third parties and you know, other organizations, and needing someone to help you, and oh, it's so complicated. And that actually it's actually not the case. You are capable of being a manager of your own financial sovereignty. It is very empowering to participate in these things. And it's exciting for me to take that kind of a topic where you're sort of re-engaging someone in their own process of growing and expanding their own capacity to manage their own finances. You're also exposing them to these tools in a very natural way. And I think in a learning environment, there's probably less resistance to that, because we're used to learning. You know, we're used to learning online now. We're used to a lot of these things that even 10 years ago were not as familiar to us. So I'm excited to see us really demonstrate as many of the different, number one, just demonstrate tooling in the Cardano space, because it's one thing to build amazing tools, but like you're saying, until you have the people come and participate in them and really see how they work, you're not using them at their maximum potential. So number one, it's just great to walk around our neighborhood of Cardano and say, here's what people are doing and here's how they're thinking about it. And that's very inspiring. That was certainly my experience in meeting you and talking about these different things. And then second, there are people who are naturally already doing this. Like there's a whole universe of people in Web 2 who are who are helping people learn online, who have grown communities, who have really done this and shepherded people into a place of understanding about concepts and topics that are very diverse. And so there's a huge opportunity for people to really take the next step up into Web3, and that brings those audiences also. And then thirdly, to really think about what things are available now and what things are coming, because as you think about, like, we got into Learn to Earn, but we're going to get into like the AI tutor that you have built in, and you're coming out with a mobile app. So there's emerging things that are happening also that people are going to be able to incorporate into either how they learn or how they are sharing the knowledge that they already have. So I'm hoping that, like, maybe what we can do is shift into talking a little bit about how this particular course is built, and maybe I will put on my hat as someone who has knowledge to share and who has packaged it in a digestible, hopefully, format for people, and you can put on the hat of what's this new terrain, what's available here, and we can parse through the different ways that we could make this learning really interactive and adoptive of the variety of tools that you have available within the Ollie space.
That's awesome. And just like, while I'm thinking about it, because you mentioned showcasing the Cardano community and this neighborhood of people that are building things, we do invite everyone that is building, whether it's in Cardano or any chain, to come onto Ollie, build a lesson. It doesn't cost you anything to do. You can literally apply to be a creator, build your lesson for free. Not only do you get rewarded with XP for doing that, but you get access to 36,000 people that are hungry for Web3 knowledge to put your content in front of. So if you're the NFT marketplace or the decentralized exchange or the YouTuber or whatever it is that you're building, your community or your product, come and put a lesson on Ollie about what it is, how it works, and how people can get involved. What better way to get people started with your service than to actually truly educate them on it? If you're a new project coming out and you want to teach people about what it is that you're building and why they should like make an investment in your product, do it through Ollie, because that way you actually get educated investors that know what they're buying into, and it's just a great way to start that. So there's a lot of opportunity for that from the content creators, and we definitely appreciate yourself and Derek for putting some lessons on the platform as well.
It's such a great point, and I would even add to that and say, like, there's a lot of people who are in Cardano who aren't building, who have like great subject knowledge about something, like an attorney, right, who has come here and maybe they're not making something, but they understand, or an accountant, right, who really understands or is trying to understand how to do your crypto taxes. Like, there's a lot of subject matter experts who come into this space and maybe don't find their way initially in terms of like, what project can I work on? What community can I be involved in? This space needs that knowledge. And I think what you have here is also a great place for people to place that wisdom that they have within a new audience who hasn't been exposed to it yet. Especially super relevant during this time because you guys are growing so much, and as that happens, I'm sure like you're growing both in users and in content. And it's early for someone who is thinking about real estate maybe to be on this platform. It might not be as early for someone who's teaching how to get a wallet, although also maybe still great of a topic. But there's lots of topics that probably aren't here at the level that they could be, in the future. So it's a great time to really just kind of meet other people in the space who are interested in the things that you're interested in. Okay, so how we set this up. So we finished the videos. This is the place where we are with the proposal. So we have 4 courses per the curriculum that we laid out in the proposal. So I'm going to try to use the same language. So there's a program. The program has 4 courses. Each course has lessons. So each of those lessons are 5 to 20 minutes. They cover some subject, and they are progressive. So they all build on each other, and as someone moves through, they can learn more and more. That's going to be free and forever, so people can come and just learn that content and go through the videos. There's a lot of demonstration in there.
there's as much explanation of concepts as there is, here's how you do that thing. So there's a lot of tooling. It's a great walk around the DeFi space of Cardano, because we have a lot of amazing teams building DeFi elements, whether it's DEXs or money lending platforms. There's the tooling like tap tools and things like that are in there, so you can think about how to do analysis. All of those components are there. So that's completed. Another key element of this course is we did a lot with risk. So, and sometimes people make decisions based on how comfortable they are with risk. So there's some low risk, like this is a low risk option. This is maybe has a higher advantage potential, but it's a higher risk, and here's things you have to consider. So it's our hope that some people will come through and they will progress through this because they want it for themselves. They want to participate in a meaningful way. They have assets that they want to figure out how to grow, because our ecosystem has tons of opportunities to do that. So some people will take it for themselves, and then hopefully other people take it because they want to share it. Like, you expressed with friends and family coming to you and wanting to be able to learn from what you know. You could become sort of like a steward of their decentralized finance knowledge within your own community. And I would hope that we could somehow incentivize and encourage, or the person who's like a solo learner, to really take advantage of the opportunities that are there because of the experiential knowledge that comes, as much as the incentive. Maybe someone's like, I don't need the funds, but you might as well experience what that is like to actually earn the badges, to have them, to see how that works. That like everything is very experientially based here, and every piece of new experience, whether you're excited about the specific outcome of that or not, all that experience becomes cumulative to where you have an understanding of self-sovereign identity differently, because you've understood credentialing differently. And it's one thing to explain, okay, there's this thing called self-sovereign identity, and you can, I always liken that to like, I can explain a blueberry pie to you, or you can eat a piece of the pie. Which experience would you rather have? I think the experiential knowledge that people can get through doing this course is tremendous, even if they're not going to use it further. And then the second piece is, I would love to see people actualize that knowledge by being thoughtful about sharing it with others. And that is a lot of how that workbook is set up. It's set up to have someone do more of a passive reflection about what they're learning. It's set up to have academic type questions in there that have definitive answers, like you doing a calculation about something, which is extremely important to be able to do in DeFi. You have some experiential kind of challenge stuff, like here's how to save 10% of what you earn for a period of time, or here's how to set up a wallet, right? Those things are in there. And then the last level is to actually go engage other people in what you're learning, whether it's you're explaining staking to your neighbor as an exercise, or you're helping someone else set up a wallet. There's that experience of sharing it with others that I think becomes a natural part of just knowing about crypto. You become the person in people's lives who knows more than they do, and that to actually have things that you could share with people becomes an important part. So I would love to explore, like, how are you thinking about, we're going to have that workbook. Now, someone could do the course without having the workbook. So the workbook mint is an option that someone could do. That's probably going to have some kind of a cost attached to it, because minting the DEA on the Soft platform has a cost. So there might be some nominal cost attached to that. So that's an optional thing. So someone could just come in and do the course for free. Someone could come in, someone could get the workbook and do that, and then layer in, that's where all the questions and everything are ultimately. So I'm still thinking a lot about how does that assessment process work within the Ollie platform. And thirdly is, should we, sometimes you build a question where the question is just, it's an easy answer, like 2 + 2 is 4. You don't need someone to review that. And sometimes you could build a reflection question and someone responds to it to have done that experiential work, but you don't need someone to review it. But in a credentialing space, if you add a credential, there needs to be some kind of like verification that person actually understood what they were doing. And so I'm thinking a lot about that, how to make it as, you have, let's say in a perfect world, all 36,000 of your people come do this course. There's just no way that our small team could do that amount of evaluation. So I guess some of it's straightforward, like some of it is the courses and videos can go up within the environment. We can build quizzes that are easy answer, pretty straightforward. And then I'd love to just get into a little bit about how you see the DEA adding to the connectivity. What are you thinking sort of naturally, knowing the platform like you do, what are you thinking are the components we should build in? What's kind of the timeline for adding those components? What does that look like on a roadmap for the course?
That was about 8 or 10 questions. So you're gonna have to go back to them with me, but I'm gonna jump onto the first one that I remember as being one of the first ones. It might not have been the first one. And I think it's the engagement with the DEA. And because we've got a mint that people can actually see there, there's the book.io course about Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. And we put that through for the minimum mint fee, which I think was like 2 ADA. We didn't make anything on it. It was literally just the price of the generating the the DEA, the NFT, whatever you want to call it, and sending it, because we have to pay 1.178 or whatever it is per asset that we send on the Cardano blockchain due to min UTXO. Now, some people might not want to pay that. They might just want to dive into the courses. This is where it's really cool that you're doing all of this on Ollie, because the courses can be housed on the Ollie platform. People can complete the lesson and get their certificate. They have that in their self-sovereign identity, as you were mentioning before. Then they're earning experience points for completing the lessons. Those experience points can be converted into Ollie tokens. The Ollie tokens could be used to buy the DEA. So then people can actually buy the DEA without being out of pocket anything, because they've learned, they've earned, and they've gone and bought the DEA. So it's a closed loop there. And it gets people using Ollie, gets people doing the lesson, and it gets people using the book platform, and keeps a beautiful synergy there from that standpoint. So as people would go through the course, as you said, you've got, forgive me if I use the wrong language, I think you said programs, then you've got modules, then you've got lessons. So that would come down to, it's creator's choice, right? You could put every single lesson out as an individual frame, like we can see there's 3 lessons looking at us on the screen right now. You could have every single lesson individually, because when it's completed, the person's going to get their merit certificate saying that that's completed, which will be linked to their account and eventually their self-sovereign identity. So they can start ticking off those boxes, accumulating all of the lessons. Then once they've completed the required lessons, like the prerequisite lessons to finish that module, then they go, perfect, now what's the next module? I'll move on to the next one. As they've completed all the modules, they'll then be able to tick off and say that they've completed the program. By that point, they've probably achieved enough experience points, enough Ollie tokens to get the DEA. So then they can have the DEA, link it all together, and actually get the overall course certificate to say that they've achieved the Crypto Fluency DeFi course. I'm sure you've got a better name for it than that. But ultimately, they've done all the learning, they've done the earning, they've got the certificates all the way through. They've got their overarching course certificate to say, hey, I've done this. And boom, they're a big part of the Ollie community. They're a big part of the book community and a big part of the Cardano community. There was a lot more that you mentioned.
Let's talk about the certificate piece. So they're getting, you said, certificates across the way, and then the whole course. So let's talk about, like, what does that look like? Does that get put into their wallet? Like, can you show what that looks like somewhere? Do you have one that's kind of has that going on, or what?
So that's due for the end of Q2. So we're in talks with Socius and a few other people that are doing SSID solutions.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, people will end up having multiple SSIDs. And I think in a perfect world, they will connect to each other. So if someone's using Socius, someone's using another one, you'll be able to store your certificates in each one, because ultimately they're going to be recognized by different people in different places around the world once you get adoption. So SSID number 1 might be recognized in Europe. SSID number 2 might be recognized in Oceania. SSID 3 might be recognized in Europe due to the relationships that people have. But it's similar to if I was to rock up to a job in the US with my education degrees from Australia, they might be like, that's not worth the paper that it's written on because it's not a US degree. Or fortunately for me, Australian degrees are recognized pretty much everywhere around the world, but you get the idea, depending on where you come from, sometimes that's an issue that you run into. The cool thing with blockchain certifications is it can be linked to your account, and then you can push it into whichever SSID solution that you're using to get that recognition wherever you're going. So what we're looking at having is merit certificates, essentially, for every lesson that you complete. A series of merit certificates will become a module, and then a series of modules will become an actual course completion certificate, which is what really has the weight. So as we're suggesting here, we could have the DeFi expert course. And to get the DeFi expert course completion certificate, you have to complete these modules. To complete these modules, you have to complete these lessons to build up to each one of those modules. So we can have this recognized all the way through. And this is all stuff that we're in talks with various organizations and with our developers about how we integrate this. And there's some really cool stuff that Socius have already built, just using APIs where we can have Ollie talking to Socius and making that all like a nice little smooth, seamless experience for the user.
So the course completion is sort of like the diploma credential. Like you're getting merit certificates are like, well, tell me the difference between also a badge and a certificate. And I'm just looking to use the right language. And I think this is really interesting for someone who, like, I care about the credentialing piece because I would love to see people teach it, but some people might not have that thought. So maybe you can talk about kind of the differences and how you're seeing those for the earner perspective.
Yeah, so badges is something completely separate. That's not linked to certification. I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay. So I guess if you think about a university degree, each semester you've got units that you have to complete. Each one of those units has got lessons that you have to complete before you can complete the unit.
Yeah.
And on your academic transcript, you'll have a list of completed units. Once you've completed all of those units, you then can say, okay, I've now completed this degree. So it's a similar thing on Ollie. You'll have your overarching course, which is that's the goal. That's what's at the end of the yellow brick road. You follow the yellow brick road, complete the lessons along the way, get your course credits, get all those things, tick, 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 tick. And once you've got that, you can get your actual certificate to say, I'm a DeFi expert, I'm a certified blockchain associate, I'm a NFT expert, whatever it might be. So we want to have the merit certificates along the way, because you might not necessarily want one of our higher end recognized courses. You might just want to be, I don't know, let's say the bull run's picking up, people are looking for Discord moderators, and there might be a course that's like how to run games on Discord, how to start a Twitter raid, how to do this. And you might just want to get a couple of these smaller merits that you can then go to Project X and say, hey guys, I would love to be a moderator. I've completed these lessons on Ollie. Here's my SSID. You can have a look at my digital resume. You might also be someone that's sitting there going, hey, I actually want to learn how to be a blockchain developer. So I actually need to go through all of these lessons to become a Cardano blockchain developer and be able to get recognized by IOG as someone that could potentially get a job with them. So you're going to go through and get all of your course credits and boom, end up at that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Okay, that makes really total sense. And the structure, it has like a very fun but meaningful structure to it, so that someone could really understand where they're at. And it really is also kind of a communications tool, like a validation and communications tool for where you go with that for the future. I love the example of the Discord moderator. I feel like I need more Discord moderators in my life also. But
and I guess with the badges, just to touch on that before we forget, so that's completely separate. That's part of the gamification. So
Okay.
whenever you complete a lesson, you earn your experience points. More experience points unlocks new badges. The badges act as multipliers, so you can earn more experience points faster. More experience points is more Ollie. More experience points is more opportunities in different gamified things that we have along the way, where we're going to have different like objectives and tasks and different marketplace items that you can unlock once you get some XP. So there's a bunch of cool stuff packed into those badges that people are going to have to sort of wait for, because it's not ready to go yet. But the more lessons they're completing, the more friends they're referring, or even the more courses that people are creating, the more they can start stacking up that XP. So not only when the token goes live, but when all the other gamification features go live, they can benefit from that.
So let's talk about just some basics. This would be maybe for a creator. So I know that sometimes, like I have a few series on the Crypto Fluency YouTube channel that are great for Ollie, that are free there. And if someone is in this space, but they haven't been to the channel, it'd be great for them to come upon that same thing, regardless of whether it's free. So people who have content that they've already created that is free, they can just bring it here and give it another place to live and another community of eyes to be able to see it. Like we did a precursor to this. The DeFi series is very in depth, the course that we did, but we have a 7-part strategy series that we did a few months ago that just highlights a strategy. Like, how do you think about a strategy versus here's how all the tools work? So if that's on YouTube or somewhere else, people can come put that in. But I'm talking now like pragmatically, you could bring links from YouTube, you could bring links from other places, or you could actually upload the video there. And you could, if you have do you want to talk a little bit about paid versus free in this conversation? That might be really helpful for future someone who wants to bring the course, and maybe they have something they don't want to give away for free. Or levels. Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So on that front, it really is creator's choice. If you want your content to be free, you can bring it across, share it on the platform for free. People can access it, and boom, everyone's happy. If you share your content for free, as a creator, we reward you with experience points. And when the student completes it, they earn experience points. So both sides are getting a reward there. As a creator, if you come on and you decide you want to share your content for a price, whatever it is, $1, $5, $10, $1,000, that's up to you. We don't reward you with XP because you're going to get rewarded when students start buying your course. The students will still get rewarded with XP for completing your course, but obviously they have to pay for the course. So you have to make sure that it is seen as being a course that will that the students will be interested in ultimately. And there's different incentivization for people paying for courses using Ollie, so you can get a discount. And as more content creators come on with paid content, we've got some different subscriptions, because we need to make this as accessible as possible. So what we've done is built 2 subscription packages for content. So for $4.95 a month, someone can get $20 worth of paid courses, similar to like a phone plan, I guess, where you pay a little bit, but you get a lot of value. Mm-hmm. And then if you go for $14.95 a month, you actually get access to, I think it's $50 worth of I need to double check the number. It's $50 worth of content. But also with that pro subscription, you're going to get access to the AI tutor, which is a very cool development that's coming up soon. We should be able to share some sneak peeks of that soon, and then we'll have a beta that people can start to play with within about sort of 6 to 8 weeks, I believe. It's already looking really cool. So the AI tutor literally can, while you're on the Ollie platform, it can see your screen. It can see the course that you're doing. You can interact with it. As you flick through a video or go to the next slide of a PowerPoint, it's reading along with you. You can ask it questions for clarification. The Ollie AI tutor will not tell you the answer, but it will help you develop the problem-solving skills you need to find the answer. Unless if your question is, what does DeFi mean? It can tell you what DeFi means, but it's not going to go and like answer a course question for you. And eventually what we see that is becoming like everyone's like AI companion. So if you wanted to take it with you in the future, once it gets to that point of development, you could take it outside of Ollie to literally be your like an AI companion, helping you problem solve around whatever like activities you're doing in your day-to-day life. But that's one of the things I'm super excited for, and it's going to revolutionize learning. Talking from a teacher perspective, I'll put my school teacher hat on. In an average lesson, it goes for 60 minutes. You have around 32 students in the class. So to start with, you've got less than 2 minutes per student per lesson. Then you add in the fact that students have to transition between classes, that you have to get the students settled when you get in, take attendance, do a bit of teaching activity or whatever it might be, so they're ready to actually start participating in some questioning. And at the other end, you've got to pack up, tidy the class, get the books away, whatever else, so the kids are ready to get to their next lesson. So there's probably 20 to 30 minutes chewed up across those processes. So there's only about 30 minutes per lesson that a teacher can be walking around and directly interacting on a one-to-one basis with students. With 32 students, that's less than a minute per lesson. And when you're seeing students 4 times a week, well, that's what it's like in Australia, we see them 4 hours a week. So I've got 4 minutes per student per week to try and help them with all of their educational needs, which is not enough. So if we can put an AI tutor into the hands of every student that's learning on our Learn to Earn platform, on our schools platform, on our business platform, people are going to just, like, a tutor itself can take you from a bottom 20% person in the class to being a top 20% by working with a tutor one-on-one. Imagine if you had that at every single lesson of you, every single day. You're going to go from wherever you are to a top 5% by having that access. It's going to be, like I've said, I think in all of our like marketing, everything we're doing, but revolutionizing, tongue twisting myself, revolutionizing education. But I truly do mean it, not just in the sense that we're bringing crypto education or non-traditional education, but the fact that we're literally going to change the way education is done and the way that students learn and the opportunities they have to expand their horizons and truly achieve their goals, and not be missed. There's so many students in the middle that never ask a question. They sit there, they're able to do their work. They're not necessarily struggling. They're not necessarily excelling, but they can do it, what they need to be able to do. They're getting their C grade. And because they don't put their hand up, they're not disrupting the class, they're not doing any of that, they don't get that extra attention that could push them from being a C to a B to an A. If they had an AI tutor that they can just quietly be engaging with throughout the lesson, all of a sudden, these like students that aren't getting the attention are getting everything that they need and more, and getting pushed in and extended and achieving beyond what their initial dreams would have ever been.
There's something really fantastic about having a thinking partner, isn't it? Like I feel like I use AI a lot as a thinking partner. I just built a whole project management setup in Notion using like thinking with AI about like, well, I don't have thinking about how I specifically work. And I think for students, it's if you're a third grader also, like you might be really interested and want to ask 47 questions in a row, but you stop at 2 because of the social implications of really going further and then you become in the habit of not getting as deep into things as you would like. And that can extrapolate across your life, where exactly like you're saying, it's hard for us sometimes to really dig deep into the questions that we have. And it sounds like you will create an environment within that learning space that is really going to facilitate that and encourage it even, which is so powerful no matter where you are in a learning process. So you really like shed light on that differently from me. I'm going to be excited to think about that within a space, even like you said, terms, like DeFi itself, I feel like should have a different name. I feel like some of the terms that we have within the crypto space, crypto being one of them, and governance, and we just have these words that aren't necessarily inviting. So for people to understand what they are, and to do that work of going a little bit beyond where they naturally would, even if they were in like a classroom environment, there's a lot here to it that can be spread out. I know we're kind of out of time. The thing that I'm going to come back to our next conversation with is I really need to build out the rest of the questions for these courses. And so for the workbook. So I guess I'm thinking we didn't get to walk through the platform as much as I kind of hoped we would, but I think it's good. I think the stuff that we're talking about here will help people think about how they could deliver it, and maybe we'll actually like build it and get it done next time. But I would love to see, like, can we just look for maybe 2 or 3 minutes at do you have an easy place for us to think about how to build a quiz? Like, is the quiz, can I do different kinds of questions? You can do reflection questions. Can I do like, I want to write these questions so that they can fit within this environment. How much flexibility do I have? Can I do like multiple choice? Can I do like specific answer type stuff?
Yeah, so at the moment, because this is an MVP, we've only been live since is it mid-October. So at the moment, oh, who's this handsome man?
There he is.
Gotta have a little scroll while we're chatting. At the moment, it's limited to multiple choice questioning.
Okay.
But as we progress along the roadmap, we're opening up other types of closed questioning first, because as we discussed at the start, closed questioning is a much easier place for automated response checking. So if it's a yes or no, true or false, A, B, C, D, checklist, fill in the blanks, all of these question types are coming very soon, and they can all easily be like, you would have the correct answer. There's no leeway. There's no openness to interpretation. There's no extensive answering there. So they're the easy ones. So we started with multiple choice, and the rest are going to be coming soon. What we're developing alongside the AI tutor, alongside the AI course creation support, is AI for marking, which takes a little bit of interpretation and will take away a job that would be incredibly time consuming if we were to try to have a human there. So if you want to put an open-ended question, kind of like an essay or a short answer or an extended response, whatever it might be, eventually you'll be able to do that. But currently, to do that, we would need to have a person behind marking. And you ask any teacher, marking is not a quick job. It takes a lot of time. You've got to read through, understand, interpret, see where the student's coming from, check it against a rubric or a marking key or whatever it might be. And if I, as a teacher, was trying to sit here and mark 36,000 open-ended questions about why someone is, how they're engaging with their DeFi solutions, that's going to take an insane amount of time, and I'd never get it done. Whereas all of these tools that are coming out for AI, all the new developments, it's becoming easier and easier that we're going to be able to automate that as well. We're just not quite there yet. So I'd say by the end of the year, we'll be able to accept open-ended responses. But for the time being, it's going to have to be your multiple choice. Then you'll get your true or false, your yes and no sort of things, your checklist, fill in the blanks. So you'll be able to have like a paragraph, and you'll be able to, as the creator, retract some of the words, and then the student will drop in the words that are correct for that sentence, or you can make them type it depending on how we want to go about it. And yeah, so there's more and more coming, but we're an MVP. We've got to keep developing, we've got to keep building, we're going to keep making this thing better and better. And as our school solution and our business solution come to life, all of these things are going to be emerging together. And what people can do with Ollie and what the student experience is just going to be next level to what anyone's ever seen before.
I believe that completely. I think from understanding what you said, maybe what I'll do for the course is try to build a quantitative closed question for most of the lessons, or I guess I could also build a collection of them that comes at the end of all the lessons. So it would be sort of like a review for the whole course.
I could give you a little look at one of the lessons that we've got at the moment. So a lot of us are familiar with the Charles Whiteboard video.
Yeah.
So a lot of us that have watched it would know that it is about 45 minutes or an hour worth of content. We didn't want to make people sit through that as soon as they open up the lesson. So what we've done, with Charles's permission, is chop this up into smaller chunks. So this first one about generational overview of cryptos is 5 minutes. Then we've got some PowerPoint slides behind it to talk about what it is that Charles has just discussed.
Cool.
And then there's a quiz that's about that specific part of the content. Then he goes into scalability. You can watch the scalability video. We can go through all of that, and the same thing with RENA, data management, interoperability, sidechain sustainability, and research and future development. So in this model, someone has to watch the video to get the green tick, as you can see here. They would complete the PowerPoint to get the green tick. Then they have to pass the quiz, which will get them the green tick. They can work their way through these at any rate that they want. If someone's really interested in side chains, they could jump in and start learning about side chains.
So the first component of that is to have
don't tell Charles I muted him, he'll get mad at me. So someone could jump in and learn about side chains because that's what's topical at the moment, get the tick, 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 but they can't complete the course until they've done every part of that module.
Yeah.
Now, courses don't have to be that big. We live in an attention economy. People like to do shorter lessons. So we've got Josh's video here about Midnight.
Do you want to know?
So you can watch his little 11-minute overview of Midnight and then have your quiz. And it's just a shorter version. So it's 11-minute video. It's a power.
That's cool.
YouTube video. People can see about the channel. People can learn about what exactly he's talking about. They can do the quiz. And then for some cases, people might not want to actually do a video. So this one literally is a PowerPoint and a quiz. So it just depends on the student and what they want to do. And then as they're completing them, they can go into their dashboard. They can see how many courses they've started, how many they've completed, XP earned, if they've referred any friends, Ollie balances, what that's worth in ADA, any of the courses that they're doing. And yeah, like whatever else it might be. So
really good. That really does it for me. I think probably what I'll do is I'm thinking of the workbook as there's only going to be one of it. It'll be universally applicable. So I also can have things in there that just don't exist in a digital way. Like you can have reflection questions that you reflect on that you don't submit for a response, right? And that's fine. I think a lot of times you get a lot out of a reflection question, a lot more than you would out of an academic question. So so that can exist, but not need to be evaluated. Whereas if someone wants to really like check their work, it's nice to be able to, did I do this calculation correctly? They can come from the workbook and come on here and actually do that. So that walkthrough is fantastic. And maybe what I'll do for the next time is work on getting those together by each lesson so that there's a question or two, maybe like a couple questions that they could actually respond to. And true or false is a great example too. Just to like, I find sometimes even I say as an adult, but I had this as a kid too, but I still have it where, you get to the end of a page and you read it, but you didn't really take it in. You got to read it again. And I think questions really help people to go, okay, yeah, I really did absorb that. And that's helpful. So, and
that's why we say like every lesson on the platform has to have a quiz because it's a validation of learning and a consolidation of knowledge. So yeah, 10 questions, be that true or false, multiple choice, whatever, just gives a person a chance to actually say, yes, I did learn this, or no, I didn't. Mm-hmm. And have to actually recall what they've just learned and really get that validation that they've achieved something.
Cool. Okay, great. So I will start to map that out. When we come back, then maybe the next time we can talk about the things that have naturally occurred to us as a result of this conversation, isn't it? Like for me, the whole process of putting this together is I'm constantly learning. Like I consider this one of our lessons also because what you've said about the AI tutor, I just took in a lot of things. And it helps me to hear how you're thinking about it because you're eating, sleeping, breathing this. And that is extremely valuable to someone who wants to come and have people enjoy learning about what they also have learned about. It would be a joy for me if people came and had the same experiences in Cardano DeFi that we have had because it has been really revolutionary for us and life-changing. And so I'd hope that some people really as many people as possible have that, and how that's delivered to them is really important. And that's why what you're doing is really really critical for our space. So I'm grateful, Nate, that I know it's like a huge undertaking for you, and you're also doing your own regular life. So we should all be very grateful, and I'm looking forward to really showing as much of this as possible as we finish this out.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. And obviously, thanks for working with us. Thanks for sharing your content on Ollie. It was obviously a pleasure to finally get to meet you in real life over in Argentina at the Constitution Convention and get that ratified over there, and seeing everything that's going on with governance now. So I know how busy you are as well. So yeah, no, we'll keep this chugging, and there's going to be some really cool stuff for the students, for the community to see in not too long at all.
All right, brother. So we'll come back together next week and we'll have more.
Yeah, sounds good.